you're going to learn to begin to master your breath and incorporate it into your cello practice so that you can release tension while you play and increase your endurance. As string players, we often don't consider the breath in our playing as much as we should. If we were singers or wind players, we would not be able to play a note without thinking about how we should breathe. Luckily, we all know how to breathe intuitively, and with just a little bit of practice, we can become experts in breathing and incorporate it into our cello playing. So let's begin by sitting comfortably on our cello chair. Sit tall, but not too stiff. Roll your shoulders back and engage your core. So we're going to inhale for 4 beats. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now hold your breath. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. And hold your breath. 1, 2, 3, 4. As you become comfortable with this exercise, you can try breathing at different speeds and in different counts. So for example, if you're playing a piece that's in 3/4, you can try counting your breath for 3 beats, holding for 3, exhaling for 3, holding for 3. And you can also try it with a metronome at different speeds. So now let's add the cello. You want to sit with your cello just the way that you normally would. So just set yourself up with your cello, and we're going to take a deep breath and give the cello a big hug like this. So while we're sitting with the cello, I want to discuss something that I call the triangle of support. And there's 3 main areas in the triangle of support that I believe that we need to focus on when we're holding the cello to have an optimum setup to feel very, very comfortable when we're playing. So these are the position of your chest relative to the cello, your legs where they sit, and the position of your end pin. So we're going to use our breathing to assess if we need to make any changes to this triangle. So currently we're going to sit with the cello and embrace it like this. Breathe just like we did before. And when you breathe out, I want you to notice if there's any discomfort of any of the contact areas of the cello. So wherever the cello is contacting you, just notice if it feels uncomfortable. So for example, the chest. So if the chest feels uncomfortable, let's just think about it for a second. So when you're holding the cello, it should meet your chest more or less at heart level. I noticed that some cellists like to hold their cello very high on their chests, and this can cause a lot of discomfort when you play. The higher the instrument is on your chest, the more likely you are to have a feeling of being pushed backwards in your chair. And this will cause instability in your back, and it's not going to allow you the flexibility to respond to the music from your core. So you want to feel like you can get around the instrument with your weight forward. And I had a professional cellist and teacher describe this to me as feeling as if you are a pouncing tiger, like ready to pounce. So you're going to get the weight on the balls of your feet and you're really forward. So when you do that and your weight is forward, you might notice that your cello starts to come way up on your chest. So if that's happening, a good chance your end pin is a little bit too high and you need to lower it or pull it out just a little bit. So you want to find a really comfortable spot on your chest for the cello to sit. If you feel like when the cello is sitting on your chest that it's uncomfortable in some way, like it's digging in, you might consider putting a foam padding on the back of your cello. So some people I've seen have created these really great kind of foam pads that just sit on the cello at the back and then protect your chest from the contact point. Some people find it uncomfortable to hold the cello there, so that's something that you can try. So try breathing in and out and see when you're holding the cello what it does. So if you're breathing in and out, does the cello slip around? So if it's slipping around, that's a good indicator that you might need to move your end pin, or you might need to put something on the back so that it's not slipping on your chest. So now let's talk a little bit about your legs. So in cello playing and in holding a cello, a lot of people think that they need to hold the cello with both legs, kind of like a vice grip. And that is not the case. So really only one leg is involved in playing the cello, and that's your left leg. So you can think of your left leg like a tree trunk that's supporting the cello on one side. The right leg, and this is really good news, is for expression and for your body. Your right leg is free to move wherever it wants. So as I'm playing, sometimes my right leg is forward, and sometimes it's all the way back here, sometimes it's tucked behind my cello. Depending on your height and dimensions, the contact point for the cello could be on the inside of your knee or slightly more on the outside. And this is an area where some people feel a fair bit of discomfort. It can be awkward to find the correct spot for your cello to sit on the inside of the knee. So if it is uncomfortable, I recommend don't use foam padding because that can slip around, but maybe put a cloth over your knee so that your cello can sit comfortably on the inside of your knee. And the last contact point in the triangle support is where the cello meets the ground, so your end pin. Many feelings of discomfort and instability can be traced to not having trust in your end pin or the end pin being too high or low. So be sure your end pin is secured properly in the ground with a suitable end pin holder, always, always. I can't tell you how many experiences I've had where my end pin was slipping around, and that is not a good scenario to be in. You're going to feel tense, you're going to feel stressed, your cello is going to be slipping away. So make sure your cello is always very, very secure. There are many different kinds of end pin holders, though I prefer the ones that attach to the chair because then you really know that it's not going anywhere. So adjust your end pin so that you can sit up tall, again, without feeling like the instrument is pushing you backwards and without feeling like you're like falling over the instrument. So when you sit up tall and you bring the cello in, it should sit right at your heart level and a little bit to the left. So kind of where your heart is. This part of the cello might sit kind of just to the left of your heart. Once the triangle of support is in place, you'll want to consider your head and your neck. So you want to have total freedom here to move your head as you're playing the cello. So be sure that your fingerboard isn't too close to your neck. Some people, they're playing and their fingerboard is like here, right? And this is not good. It's not good for your back here. It's not good for your neck. So be sure that you give yourself a lot of space here. And what you can do, many people think they have to put the end pin right in the middle between their 2 feet, but you can actually move your end pin just a tiny bit to the right, and you give yourself a whole bunch of more space right here. So if you ever have that problem that your neck is hurting, it might be that your fingerboard is just a little bit too close. Just pull it out to the right. Many cellists find comfort in having a posture peg. So that's a C peg that is, they take away the big part of the peg and you're just left with a little nub, and it can either move with a key or you can get a luthier to make you a tiny little mini peg. And some cellists really like that because then you have all this extra space here too, so then you can move your head even more and you're not going to be touching your cello. So breathe in and turn your head side to side when you're sitting with your cello to see if it's colliding. That's how you know if it's too close. If you're colliding when you're doing this, you need to either move your end pin out this way or maybe bring it up a little bit. That's how you can find out. If you're still feeling a lot of discomfort when you're holding the cello, and a lot of people tell me that they do, it might be that your instrument is too big. So a lot of cellists are my size, so I'm 5'4". A lot of cellists are this size or smaller, and they start playing cello later in life. And if you're that size or smaller and you're starting to play later in life where, you know, your muscles might be a little tighter, I would strongly recommend looking into getting a smaller instrument, either a 7/8 size. And 7/8s have just about the same beautiful tone as a full size, but they're just a little bit smaller, so it's easier to get around the instrument. And the bow, you can get a little bit of a shorter bow. You can even look at getting a 3/4 size. There's some very beautiful sounding 3/4s out there, and they're a lot easier to get around. So if you really struggling with the dimensions of the instrument and feeling comfortable when you hold it, I had one student who said that she just feels very uncomfortable holding her hips out at the size that was required for a full size. But when she got a 7/8, she was able to come in a little bit and felt a lot more comfortable. So once you've got yourself all set up, and if you've made any changes, I would suggest that you stop the video and write down some thoughts about the things that you have changed, because they might be very tiny tweaks. Like, for example, you might have pulled your end pin out just a tiny bit to the right, and you want to write that down so you can remember next time you do it, you know, okay, I need to pull my end pin out a tiny bit to the right. So now let's explore how we can use our breath to help us move around the instrument and play with a natural creativity and ease. So there's some great improvisation exercises that I'm going to show you. My favorite ones for just starting to feel really comfortable with your instrument, not worrying about looking at a piece of music, not worrying about rhythm, just getting in touch with the tone and the feeling of your body while you play. So I like to play pentatonic scales. They're 5-note scales, and what we're going to do is we're going to play a set of long tones, and we're going to breathe while we play these long tones. So we're going to pick a tempo, again, of 60 beats per minute, roughly, 4 beats for each tone. And on the 4th beat of each tone, we're going to inhale deeply before we go to the next note. So I'm going to show you the 5 notes of the scale, and if you want, you can try these with me. This is a pentatonic scale starting on D. These are the 5 notes. So here's a D, 1, 2, 3, 4, and an F, 2, 3, 4, a G, 2, 3, 4, an A, 2, 3, 4, and a C, 2, 3, 4. Then we're going to go back. A, 2, 3, 4, G, 2, 3, 4, F, 2, 3, 4, and a D, 2, 3, 4. And what I'd like you to do is every 4 beats you're going to inhale deeply, and then on the exhale you're going to go to the next note. So it's going to be like this: 1, 2, 3, inhale, 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 1, 2, 3, inhale. So while you're doing this, you're going to be breathing very, very steadily and very, very rhythmically, which is a really important aspect of getting comfortable with your instrument. So we're going to add something to this that's going to just add to the feeling of freedom. We're going to play the same notes that we just played. This time, however, we're going to move to the right when we do a down bow and to the left when we do an up bow. And it's up to you how far you want to travel. Some of you are going to be more comfortable going quite far. Some of you might just go a little bit of a ways. You don't have to use your whole bow. If you're feeling any discomfort when you play the bow, you can use 3/4 bows. The idea is to use a long bow, but you don't have to use the whole bow. I find when I move, I'm more able to use more of the bow. So you might find that that's the case. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Breathe. 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 As we play this exercise, we are not playing loud. We're playing actually quite soft. So we just want to be very light. The point right now is not to play with big, heavy tone. I know we often like to push out the tone as cellist, but for now we're just going to play very, very light. Now, what's great about this pentatonic scale is that all the notes of a pentatonic scale, when played together in harmony, they're going to sound really nice together. So what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to experiment with playing these 5 notes with me as I play the up and down scale, but you're going to play different notes in a different order, and we're just going to play together and have a nice harmonized improvisation. So for example, you might want to play F, breathe, A, 2, 3, breathe, D, 2, together now. 1, 2, 3, breathe. 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 2, 3, breathe. 1, 2, 3, breathe. 1, 2, 3, breathe. 1, 2, 3, breathe. I encourage you to experiment with this set of notes on your own. You can also pick another set of notes, and the idea is to pick some very simple notes. Just stay in positions that you're very comfortable with. We don't want to be doing lots of shifting up and down right now. We're just picking a very small set of notes because the purpose is to get in touch with how we're feeling and how our body is feeling when we're playing. And I encourage you to have fun with this and experiment and let me know how you felt.